The war room of the Galactic Council fell silent as the countdown began. Every species represented in the chamber watched the holographic display with growing dread. 60 seconds remained before the largest fleet assembly in recorded history would open fire across the neutral zone. Commander James Reed stood at the observation deck of the human diplomatic vessel, his hands clasped behind his back. Below him, through the reinforced viewport, stretched an ocean of warships. The Krelin Empire's forces glowed red on the left side of the zone. The Terran Alliance fleet blazed blue on the right. Between them lay only empty space and broken promises. "Sir, we're receiving final warnings from both sides," said Lieutenant Harris, her voice tight with tension. "They're demanding we move our ship out of the neutral corridor." James didn't move. His eyes remained fixed on the vast fleets before him. He had spent 20 years in the diplomatic corps. 20 years learning alien languages, understanding foreign customs, and building bridges between worlds that had nothing in common except their fear of each other. This moment was different. This wasn't about trade disputes or border disagreements. This was extinction-level conflict waiting to happen. "Open a channel," James said quietly. "Broadcast to every ship in both fleets." Harris hesitated. "Sir, they've already refused our mediation 17 times. Command suggested we evacuate the zone and let them—" "Open the channel, Lieutenant." The young officer's fingers moved across her console. A soft chime indicated that every vessel within range was now receiving their signal. Thousands of ships, millions of soldiers, all waiting for someone to make the first move. James took a slow breath. The weight of the moment pressed down on his shoulders like a physical force. "This is Commander James Reed of the human diplomatic vessel Aurora," he began. His voice was calm, almost conversational. "I know you can all hear me. The Krelin forces, the Terran defenders, every crew member preparing to follow their orders and fire their weapons." On the holographic display, red and blue indicators began to shift. Ships were rotating, targeting systems activating. 30 seconds remained on the countdown. "I'm not going to tell you that this war is pointless," James continued. "I'm not going to explain that both sides have legitimate grievances. You already know that. Your leaders have spent months trying to find a solution and they've failed. That's why we're here now. Seconds from a conflict that will burn 1,000 worlds." A communication request pinged on Harris's screen, then another, then dozens. Both fleet commanders were trying to cut his transmission. James gave her a slight shake of his head. She kept the channel open. "But I want you to think about something," James said. "In 30 seconds, the first shots will be fired. Ships will explode. People will die. And then what? Both sides will fight until one is defeated, or until both are so damaged that victory becomes meaningless. 20 seconds. Humans learned this lesson the hard way." James continued. "We spent centuries fighting each other over land, resources, and ideas. We built weapons that could crack our planet open, and we came within minutes of using them. More than once, 15 seconds. Do you know what stopped us? Not superior firepower, not brilliant strategy. We stopped because enough people on both sides asked themselves one simple question. What happens after we win?" The fleets were fully locked now. Weapon signatures bloomed across the displays like deadly flowers. Harris gripped her console, her knuckles white. 10 seconds. "Right now, both sides believe they're defending their people," James said. "Both sides think the other will attack if they show weakness. Both sides are absolutely certain they have no choice but to fire first. 5 seconds, but you do have a choice. Every one of you. From the fleet commanders down to the lowest-ranked crew member. You can choose to wait. Just one more minute, one more hour. You can choose to give peace one more chance." The countdown reached 0. Nothing happened. The tactical display showed weapon locks holding steady. No one fired. James could hear Harris breathing in sharp gasps beside him. The entire galaxy seemed to hold its breath. "I'm moving my ship forward," James said softly, "into the space between your fleets. If you want to start this war, you'll have to go through humanity first, and I promise you we won't move." He nodded to the bridge crew. The Aurora began to drift forward, a single small vessel moving into the killing zone between two massive armadas. The Aurora moved through the void like a leaf drifting between two gathering storms. James watched the tactical display as his ship crossed into the neutral zone, placing itself directly in the line of fire between the Krelin Empire and the Terran Alliance. "Sir, we're being hailed by Admiral Vok of the Krelin fleet," Harris reported, Her voice carried a mix of fear and awe. "He's demanding we withdraw immediately." "Put him through," James said. The holographic projector flickered to life. Admiral Vox's face appeared, his scaled features twisted in what humans had learned to recognize as fury. The Krelin were a proud species, warriors by culture and tradition. Vox had commanded fleets for 40 years and had never retreated from a fight. "Human commander," Vox hissed, his translator rendering his words in flat, emotionless tones that somehow made them more threatening. "You have no authority to interfere in this matter. Remove your vessel or be destroyed with the Terran forces." James met the Admiral's gaze steadily. "Admiral, I have every authority. The Galactic Council Charter grants diplomatic vessels the right to occupy disputed zones during ceasefire negotiations." "There is no ceasefire," Vox snapped. "The Terrans violated the treaty. They expanded into our territory. They refused arbitration. This matter is settled by force now." "Then you'll have to go through us first," James replied calmly. "The Aurora will not move." Vox's expression shifted to something that might have been confusion. "Your ship has minimal weapons. No shield strong enough to withstand our opening barrage. You will die in the first second of combat." "For what purpose?" "To give you time to think," James said. "To give both sides one more moment to consider what comes next." Before Vox could respond, another signal interrupted. Harris looked up in surprise. "Sir, Commander Leto of the Terran Alliance is also requesting to speak with you." "Split the transmission," James ordered. "Let them both hear this." The hologram divided. On one side, Admiral Vox's scaled features. On the other, Commander Leto appeared, her form resembling something between an insect and a bird, with compound eyes that reflected rainbow colors in the ship's light. The Terrans were traders and explorers, not warriors, but they had been pushed to this point. "Commander Reed," Leto's voice came through as a series of melodic tones. "Your gesture is noted, but unnecessary. We have tried peace. The Krelin want only conquest. They use the border dispute as an excuse to launch their expansion." "Lies," Vox growled. "The Terrans have doubled their military presence in our systems. They prepare for invasion while speaking of peace. Because you threaten our colonies." Leto shot back, her voice rising in pitch. "Enough," James said quietly, but with enough force that both commanders fell silent. "Admiral Vox, Commander Leto, I want you both to look at something." He gestured to Harris, who transmitted a data package to both flagships. On their screens appeared a simple image, a photograph taken from Earth's surface showing a blue and white marble hanging in the darkness of space. "This is my homeworld," James said. 300 years ago, we stood where you stand now. Two alliances convinced that war was inevitable, certain that the other side would attack if we showed any weakness. We had our fingers on the triggers of weapons that could end civilization. He paused, letting the image sink in. We were seconds from firing, just like you are now. The only difference was that no one stopped us in time to ask a simple question. "What question?" Leto asked softly. "Who benefits from this war?" James said. "Not your soldiers. Not your civilians, not your colonies or your trade routes. The only ones who benefit are those who profit from conflict, arms dealers, war profiteers, politicians who need an external enemy to maintain power." Vox's eyes narrowed. "You suggest we are being manipulated?" "I'm suggesting you ask yourself who pushed hardest for this confrontation," James replied. "Who stood to gain the most from failed negotiations? Who whispered in your councils that peace was impossible?" The transmission fell silent. James could see both commanders thinking, their expressions shifting as they considered his words. Around them, their vast fleets remained locked and ready, but no one had fired yet. "I'm asking for 24 hours, James said. "One day, let my ship remain here as a neutral presence. Let your intelligence services investigate who might have sabotaged the peace talks. If after one day you still believe war is the only option, we'll move." "And if we refuse?" Vox asked. James smiled grimly. "Then you'll have to explain to the entire galaxy why you killed the human mediators who tried to stop a war." The next 18 hours passed like years. James remained on the bridge of the Aurora, watching the tactical displays as both fleets held their positions. His crew worked in shifts, but he refused to leave his post. Every few hours, updates came through from both sides. The Krelin had begun investigating their own intelligence reports. The Terrans were reviewing their surveillance data, and slowly, carefully, a picture began to emerge. Harris approached with a data pad, her expression troubled. Sir, we're receiving encrypted files from both flagships. They're finding the same thing. James took the pad and scanned the information. His jaw tightened as he read. The Velcor Syndicate. Yes, sir, Harris confirmed. They've been feeding false intelligence to both sides for months. Fake troop movements, fabricated intercepts, modified trade records. They made each side believe the other was preparing for invasion. The Velcor were arms merchants, one of the most powerful criminal organizations in the galaxy. They didn't care about territory or politics. They cared about profit. And nothing was more profitable than a war between two major powers. They wanted this conflict, James said quietly. They positioned their manufacturing facilities to supply both sides. Win or lose, they would have made fortunes rebuilding whatever got destroyed. A priority transmission cut through the normal channels. Both Admiral Vok and Commander Leto appeared on the holographic display simultaneously. Their expressions had changed. The anger was still there, but now it was directed elsewhere. Commander Reed, Vok began, his voice carrying a weight that hadn't been there before. Our intelligence division has confirmed your suggestion. The evidence is clear. We were deceived. Leto's compound eyes seemed to shimmer with emotion. The Velcor Syndicate has committed crimes against both our peoples. They manipulated us into destroying each other for their gain. James nodded slowly. What are your intentions now? The two commanders looked at each other through the split transmission. A long moment passed. The weight of centuries of mistrust hung between them. But something had shifted. The Krelin Empire proposes a joint investigation, Vok said carefully, with human observers present. We will identify all Velcor agents and assets in our territories. We will hold them accountable. The Terran Alliance agrees, Leto added, and we propose resuming the original negotiations, with proper security measures this time, and with human mediators present. James felt tension he hadn't realized he was carrying drain from his shoulders. Behind him, he could hear his crew letting out held breaths. Harris was wiping tears from her eyes. On behalf of humanity and the Galactic Council, we accept, James said. Both your proposals are wise. But I have one request. Name it, Vok said. Both fleets should withdraw slowly, in synchronized movements, so neither side appears to retreat while the other advances. Show the galaxy that you're choosing peace together. Leto's melodic voice carried approval. A good suggestion. We will coordinate the withdrawal. Over the next 6 hours, James watched as the largest fleet assembly in galactic history began to disperse. Ships pulled back in careful formation, maintaining equal distances. The red and blue markers on the tactical display slowly separated, creating space where moments before there had been only the promise of destruction. News of what happened spread across the galaxy within hours. The story of a single human ship positioning itself between two warring fleets became legend. But James knew the truth was more complex than the stories would tell. He hadn't stopped the war alone. Every crew member on both sides who chose not to fire had stopped it. Every commander who paused to question their orders had stopped it. Every intelligence officer who dug deeper into suspicious reports had stopped it. Peace wasn't created by heroes. It was built by thousands of people choosing in small moments to question their assumptions and give understanding one more chance. Sir, Harris said, approaching with a message. The Galactic Council is requesting your presence. They want to formalize the new mediation protocols. James smiled tiredly. Tell them I'll be there. But first, I'm going to sleep for about 12 hours. You've earned it, sir, Harris said, returning his smile. The galaxy can wait. As the Aurora turned toward home, James took one last look at the space where two fleets had nearly destroyed each other. Empty void stretched before him now, peaceful and dark. But he knew peace was never permanent. It had to be chosen again and again in every generation. Today, enough people had chosen it. And that was enough for now.